Dr. Sheldon Cooper, and welcome to the premiere episode of Sheldon Cooper Presents Fun with Flags.
Hello, I'm Brinley Peck, and welcome to the premiere presentation of Fun with Flags. In the College Board stimulus, it says there is much to be discussed about the ideas that unite us in our diversity, the values that sustain us in our times of trial, and the dreams that inspire generation after generation of ordinary Americans to perform extraordinary acts of service. The research question we'll be discussing today is, in what ways have the theological colors of national flag design shaped patriotic displays? And the argument I'll be presenting is, flags are designed by theologically influenced colors that continue to display a lasting presence in our modern traditions. The origins of our flags come from a variety of different places: empires and kingdoms, wars and rebellion, but greatest of these influences is the theological influence. As Mariam Shakil put it, a health communication specialist at Georgia University, she wrote an analysis of flags as cultural icons. And she stated that while a variety of contributions wove into the designing of flags, the most underlying and underrated of these is the theological influence, as it is intertwined into most all of our history and woven into all of our past. Judith Binley, from the Moral Oral Narratives of the College Board Stimulus, stated their iconography and their religious beliefs whereby formed the system that kept the Pahika domination at bay. This shows how a belief system was able to be the defining factor of national boundaries, which shows just how important theological influence is to a nation. Here in this visual, we see how white is represented in a few different cultural flags and how it means different things for their nation. White is the most used color in all of our national flags. Now, in Pakistan and in Iran, the primary color is green, which represents the Islamic religion. But the white in their flags represents the religious minorities and the inclusiveness that it shows towards all of those who wish to worship in their countries. In South Korea and Poland, they mean a slightly different thing. The white in their flags means purity, which we've seen a lot, but specifically for these countries, it means purity in places of worship, as all need to be pure in the eyes of God to see Him. And in Ireland, the white represents the newfound peace between Catholic and Protestant communities that was welcome to their communities. Now, flags bolster nations. They mean something to everybody. Patriotic displays almost always include a tribute to the flag as a representation of their gratefulness for the promises made by their nation of prosperity and security. In this graph, we see how the public displays of American flag at their home. It shows us two different scenarios where the public ID was taken on a survey and so on education level. As we see at the party level, the Republicans most show their flag at 47% at their home, and the Democrats do not at 56%, but only around 26% show them around patriotic holidays. And on the education level, we see that less than college, high school grads and high school grads show their flags year-round at 34%, while college grads show them around patriotic holidays at 31%. This shows just how much the flags mean to people of our nation. They want to keep it around and they want it to represent them. The color of our flags are very theologically influenced. As I've said, it is undeniable that it's intertwined with our past. It provides meaningful historical connection. In this graph, there was a survey taken by Julia C. Becker, having received her PhD from the Philipps University and is currently working as a professor of the University of Augsburg in Germany. She wrote, "What do national flags stand for?" in which she took an 11 nations survey on 1,881 college students, in which they were shown a picture of their national flag and asked about patriotism and nationalism. And they were judged based on their emotions and their Schwartz values. Here in this, we see that most college students, after seeing their national flag, lean toward patriotism, meaning they have a strong allegiance towards their nation, whereas nationalism is less stronger of allegiance and more of an on-paper sort of connection. It just shows how much growing up in a place can affect one's self and their connection to their place of origin. Colin Powell of Memory in Our Democracy wrote, "Many consider the connection to their place of origin to be of the human spirit, and that it carries through them throughout all of life." Now, some say you can just look at the history of our flags and to see it's of people and of wars, but theologically it's too deeply integrated into our world's history. You cannot separate the religion from history. Shahram Nahad wrote Sacred Patriotic Symbols, and in the College Board Stimulus it says, "The Vietnam Women's Memorial of the 3 servicewomen and wounded GI, the memorial of the flag raising, did not glorify war. They testify of the human spirit." And this just shows how the testifying of the human spirit means something to everybody. And our flags are deeply intertwined with God. And we see this in our modern traditions today as one of our most common practices, which is reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, where we pledge allegiance under God. Because when people made this nation, when people made our flag, they had God in mind. They had a reason in mind, and they had Him behind their reasons for everything. And today, while we celebrate Columbus Day, we're celebrating the day when Columbus put down this flag of the Casa de Leon and celebrated the New World. Even though people have questionable feelings about it, it does mean something to everybody. It's a historical event that is still recognized today. As we see that our modern traditions affect us, and the colors in our flags can be seen everywhere, a part of our lives. And they will always be a part of our nationalism as a place we grew up in and a place we identify with. Thank you.
Sorry, no applause. That's the extent of it. Hi, I have 2 questions for you, Bryn.
I can't wait for them.
What evidence did you gather that you didn't use, and then why did you choose not to use it?
Originally, my research question was more broad. Instead of focusing on the colors of national flags, I looked at symbolism, words on flags, and they provided a lot of interesting details about God and some flags that had words of God, like Al-Hamid. But the best way to go about it was to focus in on colors, as it had the largest theological influence.
Okay. And if you had more time, what additional research would you have done?
If I had more time, I would have done additional research of more present-day traditions, such as the Pledge of Allegiance being the song that they sing at the sports events to pledge to America, and some of the stylistic choices of clothing they wear, because that is definitely a public display of how they represent their flags, colors.